There are few weapons or tactics as synonymous with World War II than the topic of today's video. The Kamikaze pilots are often framed as maniacal, reckless men who are eager for death, or as noble heroes prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. Flying planes loaded with explosives, these men would dive bomb Allied ships and military installations. In today's video, we will cover the Kamikaze pilots of Imperial Japan, just why these tactics were employed, and the disturbing truth behind one of the more infamous weapons of war. It is perhaps helpful to start with the meaning of the word kamikaze, as it does shed light on how these men were viewed. Kamikaze is usually translated into divine wind, akin to the typhoons that destroyed the Mongol fleets that sought to invade Japan in the 13th century. The wind element is fairly clear, as aircraft were used to deliver the men to their fates. The divinity aspect comes from the fact kamikaze pilots received their calling from a divine source, Emperor Hirohito. It was often framed during the recruitment of the pilots that to die in such a manner was not only an honourable way to die for the emperor, but also to turn the tide of the war. The concept of kamikaze pilots was officially put forward by Mototaru Okamura, a test pilot and captain in the Air Force. He pushed for some 300 planes to run dive-bombing runs against the Allies, seeing as it was the only hope to turn the tide of the war. By 1944, Japan's empire was shrinking and incapable of keeping up with the manpower, material, and technology of the Allies. The Japanese empire had faced a sting of major defeats, and it would not be long until the Japanese home islands would be under direct threat. Okamura was confident that he would be able to find plenty of willing volunteers prepared to die for the emperor, if it meant having a chance to win the war. He was even quoted as saying that the number of volunteers was akin to a swarm of bees. This special attack force was formed, and by October of 1944, they were first deployed. At Leyte Gulf, attempts were made to stop the Allied invasion of the Philippines. 5 kamikaze planes were set against the American ships, all missing their intended targets. However, one diverted and struck and sank the USS St. Lo, an escort carrier. Dozens more attacks were subsequently launched. In the end, 5 ships were sunk, with dozens more damaged. Seeing this initial deployment as a success, the use of kamikaze planes were expanded. The general idea was to use as little as possible in the way of manpower and material, whilst inflicting heavy damage. It was not uncommon for old, poorly maintained planes to be used, from Mitsubishi Zero fighters to even biplanes. All necessary equipment and parts, including weapons, were removed. Instead, the plane was loaded with explosives and extra fuel, as to cause as much damage as possible. There was even a specially designed kamikaze plane, more akin to a man-piloted missile. The Yokosuka MX-7 was a small one-man craft designed to combat the drop in available fighter planes. They were carried into battle by other planes before being deployed. It was then piloted a short distance to its target. Although no major craft was sunk by these devices, with a few escort ships destroyed by what the Allies would go on to call Baka bombings, or idiot bombs. These weapons saw extensive use at the Battle of Okinawa. Kamikaze attacks were used to defend the island. Over 30 ships were sunk, with around 3,000 Allied soldiers killed by such attacks. Pilots were first given plenty of training, not only in how to fly the planes in the unique circumstances of directly into enemy ships, but also to conquer their fear of dying in such a brutal fashion. Those who became kamikaze pilots were often teenagers, fresh from university, drafted into the war effort, having previously been exempted. Some were pulled from other units in the army to be trained to fly planes, though this training was stripped back. Many were handed questionnaire forms, where they were given a simple choice as to become a kamikaze pilot. The options were to volunteer willingly or refuse. But to many this was not a choice, with coercion and expectations to enthusiastically volunteer. Before making their one and only flight, the pilots wrote a will and a letter to their family. Some, however, would never make their flight. This includes Takehiko Ina. He was an economics student who recalls the fear in being told to prepare for a kamikaze attack. For his 2 first flights, his plane failed. The first time his plane wouldn't take off, and the second it came down shortly after takeoff. For his 3rd attempt, his plane crashed into the ocean shortly after takeoff. He swam to a nearby island where he remained for 2 months, returning home to see that Japan had surrendered. After the war, the fervour and support for kamikaze pilots was replaced with ridicule and disdain. What was promised to those who carried out the attacks was an honourable death, akin to the last stands of the samurai. The US occupation of Japan pushed for the kamikaze pilots to be viewed poorly, as fanatics. This was part of a wider strategy to discredit and deal with Japanese nationalism that had fueled the empire's conquest. For the kamikaze pilots who still remained, some viewed them as cowards for not completing their mission, whilst others saw them as extremists. But following the end of US occupation, there was a notable shift in how kamikaze pilots were viewed. A degree of sympathy began to emerge for the pilots. In 1975, the Cheer and Peace Museum for Kamikaze Pilots was built. It was built at an airbase where many kamikaze pilots departed. The museum houses the names, photographs, and letters of over 1,000 kamikaze pilots. As for Captain Okamura, he took his own life after the war, unable to deal with the deaths of some 4,000 kamikaze pilots who died. As for just how effective kamikaze tactics were, the ultimate goal of turning the tide of the war failed. However, there are notable, successful kamikaze attacks, such as the sinking of 3 Casablanca-class escort carriers. Although the United States did deploy 50 of such carriers, and these weren't even the largest of aircraft carriers used during the war. Researchers have identified around 50 ships that were sunk through kamikaze attacks. But as these occurred, Allied tactics adapted, including more effective anti-air tactics with radar-assisted anti-aircraft guns and better fighter screens. Radar ships provided an early warning to better prepare, whilst better damage control dealt with the damage inflicted, saving a ship from sinking. Many of the kamikaze pilots missed their targets, either due to poorly maintained crafts, or due to a lack of training, or inherent difficulty of flying a plane on such a course. It was clearly overestimated by the Japanese as to how effective the kamikaze attacks would be at destroying the Allied Navy. Nevertheless, kamikaze planes remained a real and dangerous threat to the Allied forces. Kamikaze planes and pilots will no doubt remain one of the more controversial elements of the war in the Pacific. There is an interesting difference between the high-altitude bombing tactics of the Allies compared to the close-quarter tactics of the kamikaze. However, the fate of and the damage inflicted by the kamikaze pilots is truly disturbing, and is certainly one of the more horrifying tactics used in history.